Hey, welcome to Command HQ. I am Brock Ferdine. And this is one of the first times this has ever happened to me. I thought that I had a hold on the clock here, and suddenly a couple hours passed, and I don't know, usually I'm within 15 minutes of time whenever I look at the clock here, so interesting. All right. I mean, I have so much put together here for the stream, and I thought that it was much earlier in the morning, so unfortunately I'll have to try and cram it all together. But so we have the drone strike at the Jordan military installation. It's a drone base, probably. In fact, I'm about 98% sure. And it killed 3 service members, injured 30. I mean, we're already in World War III. Let's get that straight. However, this continues to escalate and escalates until we're at a point where we can't reverse out of it. And I think we're at that point of no return now. So, I don't know, Cat Turd talking about whether or not the US should have these military bases in our imperialistic conquest of the world. The United States is not mine. And the colonialism, the modern day colonialism, in which has convinced citizens of this country to continue funding it. I've never seen such a pushback before. But these drone bases, like the one in Jordan, I believe, could be wrong, but they're supposed to be pretty minimal. And they're supposed to scale back, I think, some of the major deployment to try and refute some of the major criticism that these bases get, which is that they cost a lot of money and that it's not just expensive from a financial standpoint, but it's also pretty expensive from a standpoint of people being deployed there. Of course, I would forget to put my phone in front of me here, but if anyone wants to call in, we can create a Twitter X Spaces. In fact, hold on, let me just grab my phone really quick. I also have Skype set up, although I thought it was earlier, so we can always use Skype as well. Where is the camera? There's so many there's so many things that need to happen here to get to stream live, and I always usually forget one thing. Let me grab my phone. All right. Come on. Where is the... Okay. I'm just going to create the Twitter Spaces right now. There we go. Okay. Back in the game, as they would say. All right. So I actually thought the Twitter Spaces, the X Spaces, worked really well. And so if anybody wants to call in, just alert me through the chat. Or just hop in here. And we'll be able to begin it. All right. So many buttons. I know it's getting automated even more with streaming and just pressing buttons, but there's still so many buttons to press, and I don't know if that will be optimized anytime soon. Anyway, so Ww3 has already begun, and it's just a matter now of minimizing the momentum towards a larger conflict. Okay, this is a tweet with a meme. It says, "No truer words have been spoken." 100%. Everything horrible that they said would happen to you under Orange Man has actually happened to you under Pedo Man. Yep. Illuminati bot. Hunter's laptop was real, and it contained enough information to lock up most of his family forever. Reports from the New York Post about paper straws containing forever chemicals could be worse than plastic, so the solution is never necessarily better than the old version. This is in Ireland. An illegal Somalian attempts to rob a woman and 2 cars in Dublin.
You mind to put on a... Just have a lad here, witness here, and a witness here. And this piece of shite here as well.
This one?
Yeah.
It doesn't have that.
Stay there. Fucking don't move. You're going nowhere, you little bollocks.
Yeah, try to move this girl. She is cold.
Yeah.
She's already
Yeah.
A lot of the crime in Minneapolis
That's it.
stems from Somalians. And not to be racist, and I don't mean to be, but it's just a fact, and it has been for a while.
Fucking. What the fuck are you trying to do? Rob everybody?
And, you know, I am...
Yeah.
Did you see that gear came running down the road?
I seen
Because
him.
they-
I reversed back up. I seen him attacking him.
Yeah, so this fella took me phone.
It's because Somalia is a civil war. It still is a civil war. You have these warring groups that are vying for power, and the third world nature of the country, everybody has to steal in order to survive, and so they take those same principles to the West, the same quote values, and they continue to live like they're living in Somalia. Now, I will say that a lot of the second to third generation Somalians, I wouldn't say second, I would say third generation Somalians, are assimilating a little bit better. However, that's been over a period of 50 years. And that's very distinct because it's unusual. Most immigrants kind of assimilate right away. Germans and Scandinavians certainly do. But it's not like I go out and talk to these people. I just see them out here. If I drive in and I have to buy something at a mall or something, there's usually young Somalian youth working there, and they're wearing their hijabs, but they speak perfect English, so you assume that they were born here and that they were raised in American school systems. The Somalians, I'm generally a pretty nice person, believe it or not, in public. And I don't know, probably 20 years ago, I was, you walk into a pharmacy in Minneapolis, like a Walgreens, and you'll have 10 of these Somalian women, and they'll be speaking their language. And it is so harsh to hear. And they will jump in front of you in lines. They'll be talking on their phone and talking to all their friends at the same time, so it's very chaotic and disorganized. They'll be extremely rude to you, plus they can't speak English. So even if you were to say, hey, you know, I was here first, or, you know, get behind me. And these are older women too, by the way, so you kind of feel rude if you point it out to them. And it's not like they're disabled. It would be a different thing if they were disabled, right? You would be like, hey, you know, go in front of me. But these are like women who are capable and competent, and, you know, they're just like jutting in front of you in the line, and you're just like, what the hell? And then there'll be like 3 more that will join them. And I can tell you, the hospitals, whenever there's a Somalian who's in the hospital, they'll try and bring in 20 to 25 Somalians into the hospital room, and that's conducive to creating chaos in a hospital. And then they have to call security. It gets super congested, and the Somalians never want to leave, and they'll challenge security. And it's just such a weird thing. And they'll play around with the equipment, and not like in a joking way. They'll mess up, you know, connections up. It's wild. The other thing is, so I was in, this is probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. I was in Minneapolis, and the Somalian guy, maybe around my age, maybe a little bit older, he was telling a story about growing up in Somalia and fighting in the Civil War. And he had mentioned, he just admitted it, that he had in war apparently killed, actually part of it wasn't in war. You never know if it's true or not, but he said, and it seemed true though, the way that he was describing it in his broken English, that he had killed 3 people. And he is just walking around out in the open in Minneapolis, like no one's business. And that's just your average illegal immigrant in Minnesota. How government works breaks your legs, sells you a wheelchair, taxes the wheelchair, regulates wheelchair use, assures you that without government, you wouldn't be getting around so well. Accurate. Here's another meme. Remember when you couldn't get fast food without first providing proof that you had participated in a medical experiment? This is a Burger King sign. And then the sign says that you have to have proof of vaccination. This is a tweet from Online Shogun saying, corruption. The Security Service of Ukraine has conducted searches at the Ministry of Defense leadership. Billions have been stolen and the armed forces of Ukraine are left without ammunition. Searches are also underway at the managers of the Lviv arsenal. It is claimed that in just one case, they are suspected of embezzling $1.5 billion ammunition purchases. Should Americans tighten their belts and quickly send more billions of dollars to help one side of this Russian civil war happening on former Russian territory? Or should we just forget about the fake country created by Stalin by gifting Ukraine territories from its neighbors? Remember, the big guy gets 10%, so every dollar helps. MAGA, America first. And then the picture is of kind of an older gentleman in a home. It's in Ukraine, and then there appears to be two Ukrainian security service officers combing through or trying to arrest this individual. Yeah, check Zelensky's mattress. Lviv, remember, is near the Polish border. It's in western Ukraine. And, you know, everybody says this is a Russian civil war and that this is a fake country created by Stalin. Ukraine is Russia. It was originally formed by Rurik, who's a Viking from Stockholm, and his good friend Oleg. So Rurik, who had founded modern-day Russia, sent his friend Oleg to found the second capital city of Russia after he had created a fort near Novgorod, which is about 20 miles to 30 miles north of modern-day St. Petersburg, where Putin is from. And the whole dynasty of Russia started with the Ruriks. Those were the first czars of Russia. And it's called the Rurik dynasty. The whole name from Russia comes from Rurik, Russia. That's how it was pronounced. So it all goes back to Vikings from Stockholm. This is all verified. We can pull up the wiki for Rurik right now. He was a trader, but he was also a warrior. And when he sent his buddy to modern-day Kiev to found the second major city, that became basically Russia. And then they connected up trading routes between Novgorod, which was modern-day St. Petersburg, and Kiev, and they provided the strength necessary to stop the Slavic tribes from warring against each other. So they were a law enforcement committee and group, and they had been called in by leaders of the Slavic tribes because there was a lot of infighting between these Slavic tribes, and the Vikings had previously been there and stopped the warring among these tribes because they were very organized. They were excellent fighters, They you know, they could just get the job done. So, you know, Ukraine wasn't a fake country created by Stalin. I don't know who is, I don't think people, see, Americans don't really understand this. There's a long history, and Ukraine has never been a separate entity from Russia. And it just, you know, Swedes know this. I don't know why, but it just, for some reason, I guess you can just lie to the American public because we have no continuity of history and people just believe it. So, speaking of the Swede, Tucker Carlson, no country serious about democracy would ever use electronic voting machines. Correct. You are correct, sir. Carl Eller celebrating his 81st birthday. Carl Eller used to play for the Minnesota Vikings, defensive lineman. Still lives in North Minneapolis in a large mansion. Very intelligent. Huge. I think he got drafted in the first round out of the University of Minnesota. Probably one of the last first round defensive linemen to come from the University of Minnesota. And he may have been an All-American, but anyways, Carl Eller was a monster on the field. And if you ever meet Carl Eller, not only is he huge, but he's extremely intelligent. And he's had his issues with drinking a little bit too much. In fact, it's interesting because you got this couple of maybe wine bottles or something behind him. Hopefully he's not drinking here while he's eating his dessert. But yeah, he looks old. Looks a lot older. He's had his issues with DUIs. That's his Achilles heel, is drinking a little too much. But I think like the last time he had a DUI, he was driving home and they had tried to pull him over and he wasn't going to pull over, and he just drove right into his own garage. It was pretty funny. Got out of his car, was trying to get into his house through the garage, and the cops had somehow got in before he could close the garage door. And there was something like 3 or 4 cops there at that point, all, you know, real small guys. And he just swatted them away like flies. And he wasn't even trying to either. He was just drunk and he was just like, whatever, fuck this. And apparently he had swatted like 2 of the guys who were like 5'9" or whatever, 5'10", my size. And they had fallen back because he's like 6'7". He's huge. 6'8" maybe. What's interesting though is I'm sure when he sobered up, he was very apologetic. And the cops were probably like almost happy that they got their ass beat by Carl Eller, you know, because he's a former NFL player and he was, I think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, but, you know, aside from that, you know, and that's kind of unique, you know, you're not in your right mind when you're doing stuff like that, but he's, you know, he's a tremendous human being, actually. He'll talk to anyone. And so, got the gold tie on. Carl Eller. You know, he goes out of his way to help people. He's got a little problem with the ladies too. But that's normal for any you know, local celebrity and guy who's pretty wealthy. And you could probably blame some of the alcoholism on that CTE or whatever they call it, the brain damage from playing football. Even though you couldn't really tell from talking with him because he's very coherent. And he's, you know, he's a really good speaker as well. Anyways, okay. Lake Boss. Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. Hello, I'm Special Ed, AOC. They're all plants. Morning America. Word is corrupt Democrats are going to run Big Mike for 2024 presidency. Make no mistake, but both of them are criminals behind the destruction of America. MAGA 100%. A meme with text that reads, Barack Obama surrendered his law license back in 2008 to escape charges of lying on his bar application. So I'm not sure about this, actually. I'll have to check this. This is kind of interesting. This could be totally false. Don't know. Michelle Obama voluntarily surrendered her law license in '93 after a federal judge gave her a choice between surrendering her license or standing trial for insurance fraud. I don't know about that. See, that seems fake. Totally fake. I'm sure they're still licensed and this is just bogus. Surprised there's not a community note on this. So this person is also kind of in my same camp, because that would have been really hammered in when he was campaigning if that were true. So it's likely not true at all, but okay, so this guy Dave says he's heard this story before. Just two comment. This is a great comment. These comments are gold here with Big Mike. This is my favorite comment, I think, of all time. Right here. This is pure gold. All right, we got so much here. We got to get through it. I'm going to check comments as well here. Oh, we do? Oh. We got comments from Ronan. It's, what is it? It's, okay, this is a tweet by Jake Shields. It's illegal to boycott Israel in all of the purple states. You can boycott every other country, including America, in all of these states. So, and this is a retweet of another tweet that says states that you can't boycott or support a boycott of Israel and be employed by the state government because of anti-BDS laws. This this needs to be looked into. I'm very unfamiliar with how this works. So throughout the country, most states have this anti-BDS law. So I don't know what that fully entails. There's a lot of anti-Israeli comments here. A lot of Free Palestine protests, videos, and so forth. Tweet by Wendy Patterson that reads, breaking news, 40 million is probably the tip of the iceberg. 5 Ukrainian officials charged with stealing 40 million in war funds. Quote, most corrupt country in the world, unquote. And then there's a link to an article with a picture of Zelensky. That's a lot of money, huh? $40 million? Just think that's all tax dollars that hasn't actually materialized yet because it's all debt. So it's actually more than 40 million in terms of how that's actually going to get repaid by American taxpayers. With interest, it could easily be 50 or 60 million dollars. Here's a tweet from Illuminati Bot, and it is a image of 9/11 with one of the planes hitting the towers, and the towers are wrapped in paper that appears to be paper, constitutional paper. So it's the American Constitution being hit by one of these planes and on fire, and that is the real target. Here's a meme. It's got Will Ferrell yelling in the background, and there's text that reads, "It's not incompetence. They're destroying the country on purpose, you dumb fucks." Here's a good comment from Lee Jones, who says, "I don't think people realize this enough." Well, I think people who are tuning in realize it, but I don't think that the majority of people fully understand this. And I think it's because they don't want to, more so than the signs being all around us. Because it is, it goes to the trust factor, and it destroys, the trust we have in our fellow citizens and our fellow colleagues at work and random people in everyday society, because you have to come to grip with the fact that no one is doing anything about it until relatively recently. I mean, the Texas convoy is a small gesture, but there's so many issues that need to be fought, and this is just one of them. Two, I don't think that people want to admit that society has broke down to this point. And three, people want to believe in the best with respect to other people. And all of those are dismantled when you finally realize that the government hates you and they will do anything to destroy you, and that they're doing this deliberately because they want the country to be in shambles so that they can bring in their new solution. And whether that's total enslavement, control, we know they're already going to try that. It's just a matter of how they're going to try that. Now, I have, as has been prophesized, of course, in the Bible and Revelation, that they're going to try and bring in something like a currency of some sort, which is in the Bible, of course, as the mark of the beast. But it's a matter of, no one knows when this is going to happen. And it's a matter of predicting, or sort of presuming, not necessarily predicting, of course, because no one can truly predict. But it's putting all of the analysis together. And I think like 2.5 years ago, I had streamed about this pretty heavily on the YouTube channel, this channel. And, I had talked very, very strongly about the fact that the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, would likely be probably, one level of this strategy. And whether it's the mark of the beast or not, it certainly could be. And we're getting closer and closer to this being fully implemented. And now, you know, several countries have already released one. And I think there are a couple flavors that the Department of the Treasury has already gone operational with. And it's gaining traction, but it seems like they already have the platform and the technology set up for it. It's just a matter of how they can actually bring it in and make it mandatory. What kind of crisis they're going to try and manipulate. Imran Ali, General Counsel for the Minnesota Peace and Police Officers Association, posted his reaction to the burned precinct, quote, art sled, calling it disturbing and recalling the destruction to the very minority community that these white guilt virtue signalers claim to be helping. Imran Ali is a clown who totally fucked up this Washington County situation and got fired. He works at Eckberg Lammers with people like Nick Vivian. Nick Vivian is he should be in prison, and he will be in prison in 2025. Again, if anybody has respect for people who are, you know, do their jobs with ethics and morality in mind, it's me, including in the legal system. And the fact that Imran Ali hasn't fired Nick Vivian, or they're both partners, but hasn't filed a bar complaint against Nick Vivian is outrageous. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna file a bar complaint against Imran Ali for not taking proper action to report Nick Vivian. I'm going to do that probably today. So, you know, he's a fraud. Imran Ali is a fraud. And he's talking about, you know, the 3rd precinct and how these white Protestants, mostly fat, dumb, radical, liberal, middle-aged women, are mocking the destruction of the 3rd precinct and how this is awful. But yeah, Imran Ali, I don't even want to look at this anymore. Illuminati bot tweet. Putin warns, quote, globalist terrorist Klaus Schwab. His days are numbered. I don't know if this is true or not. Could be fake. See if they have actual evidence. Well, I think Putin may have access to documents, perhaps even through the FSB, that shows Klaus Schwab attempting to play both sides off against each other, NATO and Russia, and using Ukraine as the punching bag. And whether or not Putin is pretty angry with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum for trying to orchestrate this entire event is a totally different issue, but it's just interesting to see if there's actually any evidence in here to suggest that Putin has that information in front of him. Okay, so this is a tweet from Simon Atiba, who's been slaying it lately. And the tweet reads, and there's a video here as well, very short 18-second video. In case you missed this today, President Biden got confused again after leaving the pulpit at the St. John's Baptist Church, which is over 100 years old, and played an active role during the civil rights movement. Watch.
Amen. We're gonna do the the blessing over the offering, and then we're going to do the benediction. After which we're going to ask us to.
Yeah, you know, he looks like Ozzy Osbourne. Very confused. Doesn't know where to stand. Doesn't know where to go. And, you know, I'm not trying to make fun of Joe Biden unnecessarily. People get confused all the time that are just normal, and they're like trying to figure out like the right door to go through or whatever. But this is Ozzy Osbourne level confusion. And his eyes, the way that he's looking around, and his gait, he can barely walk. His gait is so stiff. Even in the last 6 months, it's gotten so bad where it's almost progressed into probably mid-range dementia to more severe, sort of like if you had a range where, you know, 0% you have zero dementia, and 100 you have full dementia. He may have went from about 70 6 months ago to about 90 to 95 now. And I'm not an expert on this issue, but I can remember when my dad was diagnosed late in his life, and he went downhill really quickly. And there were a lot of other elderly people in there with him, and I was able to speak with a number of them, just, you know, casually, of course. And it was the same appearance. A lot of confusion, same gaze, same gait, same walking. My dad actually, although he had both of his, well, I don't want to get into it. Here, okay, so he's looking to his right, he's looking to his left, and then he's asking what maybe is someone close by. Maybe it's a Secret Service agent, maybe it's someone else, maybe it's just some person associated with this church. And he's like, oh, which stairs do I go down? And then he's looking for
the blessing over the offering, and then we're going to do the benediction.
Okay, and then here.
After.
And you see how his hand raises? His right hand? Because he's not sure what he's supposed to do. I think someone is trying to tell him what to do all the time, and he's looking for that instruction.
After which we're going to
He needs to be in a nursing home. I can't believe his wife allowed him to run. This is a tweet from Keen Sheila with the headline, "Keeping South Carolina Red." I make a lot of noise about Somali refugee resettlement in Minnesota, but never forget, it's the crazy white liberals who make it all happen there. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Minneapolis residents cheer on replica of burning 3rd Precinct. Well, look at these women. I mean, they're all fat and stupid. No one would have kids with these women. Maybe when they were much younger. I can already see at least 5 extremely unattractive women here. There's no snow on the ground, so they're clearly stupid to use a sled on a hill that essentially is only mud. Here's a tweet from I'm Meme 0. Holy shit. Independent journalist. JLR investigates just captured live footage of Border Patrol at the southern border smuggling illegals into the U.S. Let's play this.
Look at this. That's Border Patrol. That's Border Patrol. So Border Patrol does go in. That's Border Patrol. It has green on it.
So, you know, as has been explained here, the openings here in this wall, whether that's a gate or it's just a, you know, deliberate construction opening to get in there, I don't know. But there's a margin here, like a buffer zone, you know, and it's used for the purpose of getting construction equipment in and out during the day, and to allow Border Patrol to drive through there. And I don't know if...
That's a Border Patrol van. So when they do this, this is sometimes a pickup spot, folks. So we'll see if anyone gets marched down.
You know how, you notice too how he seems to be recording this kind of secretly on like a hill or something? I don't know, maybe it's a bridge or an overpass up here, so they probably don't think that they're being recorded. It's a really good angle to record from.
Or dropped off there for Border Patrol. Look, there's people getting out of that van. I can't tell what's going on. Oh! There's people getting in that van. They're doing an exchange. Let me see if I can get down here. They're doing an exchange. Yeah, look, folks. They're doing an exchange. Migrants. Look. There they are. So the van swapped them right there. Yeah. And they're doing that in an area. Look at that. And the van goes. There you go. Drop off the product, ship them onto the Border Patrol van. And now they're going. And the van's going that way. Look at that. So it is happening at that border entrance right there at the wall. Exchanges are going on. They are.
Get in the green one.
So the van swapped them right there. Yeah. And they're doing that in an area. Look at that. And the van goes. There you go. Drop.
Okay.
We're south of these bridges over here. I'll be out of here in a second, as soon as it loads them in.
And then the green van goes, yeah.
Oh, there it goes. It's leaving. They were exchanging people. White van comes there, waits. Border Patrol comes, they unload, white van leaves, Border Patrol stays there in the van, puts people in the van, and now they're going.
Yep. This is a brick suit who says, yeah, no, that's not what it is. Recommend you delete this. And then meme, therefore I am, says, so bringing illegals by Border Patrol to U.S. is not smuggling them across. Okay. I will make sure I'll check with you next time I send a post. Yeah, it's true. All right. Here's a meme from Lauren Witzke. And it's a carrier group. So it's an aircraft carrier with a bunch of F-16s and a couple of battleships and some other naval ships sailing nearby. And then the text reads, "For Israelis border," and then there's a picture of a Border Patrol agent on a horse. And it says for U.S. border. Yeah, that's about right. Here's a meme of Hillary Clinton. 56 of her friends have committed suicide. And it's at a pizza shop. There's blood everywhere. Wonder what the pizza shop represents, right? John Podesta, anyone? Emerald Robinson says, it's time to remove this Muslim hussy from Congress. Now this has been circulating on X Twitter all Sunday. It's a video of Ilhan Omar speaking Somalian. It's the worst language I've ever heard. And there's subtitles here in English. And it says, and I'll just read the subtitles. We as Somalians, we love each other. There are areas of friction, and that has allowed us to kill each other, but in reality, we are an organized society, brothers and sisters, people of the same blood, people who know they're Somalians first, Muslims second, protect one another, come to each other's side, and the aid of other Muslims too. A couple of days ago, we heard some people who call themselves Somalians, Somaliland,
and in
claim to be Somalis, have signed something with Ethiopia. I don't even know what the MOA. Signed an agreement with Ethiopians. I don't know, something. Oh, signed an agreement to protect themselves from Ethiopians. What a shame. Again, an uncomfortable laughter. Many Somalians have personally called me to encourage me to speak to the U.S. government to thwart the MOU and help Somalia. They wanted to know what the U.S. government could do for Somalia to ensure the MOU never turns into a full bilateral agreement. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interests of Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call for the shots in the U.S. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interest. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters, the Indian Ocean, will not be stolen by Ethiopia or other. Or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Sleep in comfort, knowing I'm here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. The woman, myself, you sent to Congress is working day and night to protect your interests. She knows your plight and that of Somalia. I am as concerned about Somalia as you guys are. Together we will protect the interests of Somalia. President Hassan Sheikh, the current president of Somalia, has done a remarkable job in looking after Somalia. He was just here a couple months ago. Mr. President, you have done an excellent job fighting Ethiopia and Somaliland, and we are happy about it.
in dadka Soomaaliya iyo dadka meel kasta
You spoke to Somalians dispersed across the world that you are here to look after Somalia.
ku nool aad dareensiisay si kasta anaga
However weak Somalia is, or is a failed state,
aan u dhibannahay Soomaali haddii aan nahay
we Somalians are resilient people who can fight against all odds.
waxaan nahay dad karti leh dad waddankooda
People who love their country, Somalia.
aqoonsan dad waddankoodii aan weligood
We are people who will never allow someone else to steal our land.
danger laga gelin karin
Therefore,
marka
I congratulate Somalian Americans and other Somalians across the globe
reer Minnesota iyo Soomaalida meel kasta ku nool adeerkaya hadda mar dhow ka hadlaayay
for
idinkaga
showing a
hambalyeynaya
remarkable
sida
level
aad
of unity against
isku
Ethiopia
wada
and
duuban
Somaliland.
tihiin sida aad kulligiin
The way you
garab
all rallied
istaagteen
behind our president,
madaxweynaheena
Somalia
because uu u
president.
baahan yahay in kulligeen
Somalia is for Somalia's only a genocidal mantra, as over 45% of Somalia's population are not even ethnic Somalis.
aan garab istaagno Soomaaliya waa Soomaali Soomaaliya waa hal
Somalia is one nation. We are all brothers and sisters.
walaalaan wada nahay
Our land cannot be divided.
dhulkeena lagama kala qaybsanaayo
Ethiopia and Kenya have stolen and continue to occupy the Somali region state, which belongs to Somalia.
dhulal baa naga maqan aan raadsanaynaa insha Allah mar maalinta laakiin inta aan haysano hadda
We will liberate the occupied territories stolen from Somalia, Djibouti, Somaliland, and the northeastern province in Kenya that belongs to Greater Somalia.
lama kala qaybinaayo
That remains of Somalia cannot be further divided.
marka waa mahadsantihiin dhammaantiin sidaad ii sharaftiin
Thank you for inviting me. I feel honored.
inuu markasta aad iigu soo dhawaysiin ilaahay ha idin sharfo assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullahi wabarakaatu
Wow. Why isn't she putting America first? She's an illegal immigrant. Okay, she married her brother. The FBI conveniently failed to prosecute her for marrying her own brother. It's immigration fraud. And she improperly used funds from her campaign to pay for her divorce lawyer. She's engaged in a whole host of misconduct and abuse. And the fact that she is basically a plant in Congress to represent the Muslim world and Somalia in general, considering the fact that there are so many Somalians in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And that was really the genesis for George Floyd and the subsequent riots that came out of that, was just this large piling on of the Somalian immigrants trying to burn down businesses and riot. The fact that she is openly bragging about the fact that she's not here to represent the interests of Americans or Minnesotans, even in Minneapolis, where she is from. I think, this is, it's so ironic too, hearing her say this, that no one will take Somalian land and that no one will come and, yada, yada, yada. When the land that she lives in DC, but she also apparently has a place in Minneapolis or Minnesota. She has to in order to represent it. That's my land. So it's infuriating. Illuminati bot. Here's a meme. And it says 12-year-old girl links all US presidents to same royal bloodline but one. This demonstrates how illegitimate our government really is. And then there's a huge poster and it says US president's family tree, and there's I guess, Obama in here, who's the one that isn't linked. Wait. It's either Trump or Obama, but I mean, I know that Obama is linked. He's got like third cousins that are linked to Sam Adams and Thomas Jefferson, I think. So I'm pretty sure that it's not Obama, but because Obama's mother is from Kansas. But I guess it is Obama. I don't know. Maybe it's fake. No one's saying which one. You can hardly see this. Maybe this is before Trump. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Who cares? They say that every single US president has been linked to Scotland. They've had some Scottish blood. Of course, Trump is, half Scottish. But there's something about Scotland. Of course, the Scots came over during the Revolutionary War to fight against the British because the Scots hate the British. So that's kind of that revolutionary spirit. And a lot of the South is settled by Irish and Scots, and Germans and English. That's why, I don't ethnically feel very similar to a lot of Americans because I'm not. I would feel more ethnically similar to Russians or mostly just Scandinavians because I'm Scandinavian. I'm not Russian at all, but just Scandinavians and Canadians a little bit. Feel the culture is more similar in line with Canada up here as well. So Trump Army, yes or no, should a woman go to jail for falsely accusing a man of rape? And then there's 4 women here in a holding cell. These are good comments. Someone said yes, and they should be sued in civil court for damages to reputation. A NYC precedent says about 80 million for this kind of thing. Yes, in contrast, the penalty for the rapist should be much harsher. But if she lies about it, she should get the same penalty the man would have. If this is intentional and for spite, yes. Absolutely. That and falsely claiming paternity. Yes, false accusations will happen a lot less often. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I fully believe that a number of these women who came after me should be charged, and, I will do everything in my power to ensure that they're charged. But I'm not holding my breath or anything. In fact, I'm about 99.9% sure they'll never be charged, but that's not to say that they should be charged, because they should. And I'm also a big fan of forgiveness. And I don't think, this is all kind of, written out that they just don't know what they're doing. They don't understand, they're oblivious. And the way that men are treated in most Western societies, well, actually most Western societies, because third world countries is kind of the opposite, right? Men are given kind of preferential treatment, right? Because in third world countries, in order to survive, you have to be strong, and, masculine, strong men are more able to survive, and therefore they attract more women because it's more like meritocracy physically. And, Darwinianism, evolution at play. And so men are more respected, and they get more women simply because of that. versus it's sort of reversed in the Western world, where those kinds of men, unless you're an immigrant, of course, are usually the first to be thrown under the bus and gone after with such vitriol, with cancel culture, with these fake orchestrated court cases like the E. Jean case. Trump has been adjudged a rapist, and the GOP is going to have the singular challenge this fall of not only attacking women's reproductive rights, but also supporting rape. Sad. GOP chairwoman, Speaker Johnson. And this is a tweet from Princip. Yeah, sure. Whatever. People, this is, you know, they're so stupid. They don't realize now that this same bullshit is going to happen to them. Like, if they think that people can just make fake allegations, the same fake allegations are going to come back to them in one way or another. That's how this works. They got a meme of Trump's plane, and they put E. Jean Carroll's name on it. Oh my God. And they're claiming that Trump's confusion of a picture of E. Jean when she was much younger was confusion for Marla Maples, Trump's ex-wife, is somehow evidence that he knew who E. Jean was. Are you kidding me? A picture from 30, 40 years ago? Yeah, a jury will believe anything. They just want to get out of the conference room, duh. I mean, would you want to be sitting in a courthouse, in a conference room for, 16 hours a day with very little food, very little drink, stuffed up with smelly people, going through security whenever you want to move, having no access to your friends or family, no access to a cell phone? I mean, yeah, a jury is going to believe anything. And most often, they will just do so just to get out of there, not necessarily because of guilt or innocence. I mean, look at how many people believe the mainstream media. Asking any woman, if a man pulled you into a changing room and stuck his fingers in your snatch, would you forget the date and time that happened? Would you laud him and say, his was your favorite TV show? Anyone? This is a comment from Eckbert. Exactly. Yeah, so if he actually did this, if Trump did this, which he didn't, would the woman be obsessed with him and then continually claim that The Apprentice was the best show that she's ever seen and she loves watching The Apprentice, and then constantly talk about it over the years? No, they wouldn't. Exactly. All right, let's move on. We got so much stuff here. Okay, so here's another video of Ilhan Omar, the Somalian congresswoman from Minnesota. And the tweet is from Simon Atiba, former correspondent out of, I believe, Nigeria or Africa in general, that got kicked out of the White House. He's a baller. He got kicked out of the White House because he pissed off Jean-Pierre, however you pronounce her name, Jean-Pierre, White House spokesperson. And because he refuses to regulate his questions, because she was like, I need to know your questions before you're going to ask them so I can, have my response fully put together and researched, and, you can only ask these questions. You can't ask these other questions. And he was like, screw that. And then they kicked him out. He's a baller. He's a baller. All right. So Simon Atiba says, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tells the people in Somalia she's representing their interest in Washington. Oh my God. That would be like me going to... that would be like me going to Sweden and saying, hey, you know, I represent Sweden in the United States. I'm the ambassador. And even though I was elected to Congress to represent, you know, a portion of Minnesota or Wisconsin, I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here, of course. I represent you. And therefore, because Sweden is now becoming a member of NATO to defend itself against Russia, and Sweden and Russia have had many wars over the years. In fact, over the last 150 years, Sweden and Russia have had no less than 3 wars. Okay, they've fought over Finland multiple times. I think the last Finnish-Russian war with Sweden was in 1880. And Sweden has won most of those wars, actually, which is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, considering that it has significantly less people and firepower and resources than Russia does. There was, you know, wars between Catherine the Great and Gustavus. I think Catherine the Great won one of those, but it was more like imperialistic royal wars, sort of like infighting between royal families and trading routes and so on. And most of the people in that region, it's almost like fighting one of your cousins, because again, most of the people in St. Petersburg, if they're from there and their families have been there for a while, have at least 15 to 20% Scandinavian blood in them from Sweden. And that's because the Vikings founded Russia, and they founded it originally in Novgorod, about 20 miles north of St. Petersburg, and then in Kiev when Oleg went over there. So they've learned never to fight each other. And certainly now, of course, in modern day warfare, because Russia is way more powerful, and Russia would wipe Sweden off the map from just a pure military strength perspective. And that's the reason that Sweden has to join NATO, because then it gains full protection. And really the key battle here is with Norway, because Norway has these US military bases up in the Arctic, still in Norway territory. And they have a bunch of reconnaissance planes, and we'll get to that because we've got a couple tweets in here, that constantly monitor and surveil that upper territory, because those are where all of these missiles, if they were ever to be fired, God forbid, would come from. And Norway, especially these bases up there, would be some of the first early warning detectors for those missile launches. And I don't believe Norway has any plans to join NATO. They don't want to give up their independence or sovereignty either. And it's interesting too, because Sweden, during the pandemic, remember, they didn't institute any of these mandatory lockdowns. They didn't really get big on the masks. They didn't get big on... They did suggest that people who are elderly or who had compromised immune systems, and of course, Vikings have really good genes, actually, really good immune systems in general, that they, stay home, and they tried their best to protect people in nursing homes, and they had the lowest excess death rate in the world. Sweden did. Whereas Norway actually did the opposite. But now they're kind of doing the opposite with NATO. And to be involved with NATO, even if you were, and I get Sweden is a little bit closer in terms of like, because they border each other through the Gulf of Finland in the Baltic there. Stockholm is about, I want to say it's about like 200 miles from St. Petersburg. It could be a little bit more than that. I don't know. But, there's a huge Russian naval base over there as well. And so what Sweden always did to win these wars with Russia, and this is just a hack, they would just embargo the Gulf of Finland because they had sort of preferential access to the Baltic. And that would knock out Russia's ability to resupply itself back in those days. But now, with the difference in power with the Russian Navy, there's no way that could ever happen. And with, the Russian Air Force as well. But Okay, Bill Glahn, again, he's works at a think tank in Minnesota. He said she married her brother, Ilhan Omar. And Ilhan Omar tweeted out something and said, "It's not only slanted but completely off, but I wouldn't expect more from these propagandists. I pray for them and their sanity. No nation state can survive if its states start to get involved in land lease negotiations with other countries without the consent of the federal government. Somalis in Somalia and in the diaspora are united in that effort, and I will stand in solidarity with them. No amount of harassment and lies will ever change that." Okay, so apparently Ilhan Omar admits to representing the interests of Somalis in Somalia. Only Ilhan Omar could admit to this and still keep a seat in Congress. It's unbelievable. I mean, this is how far Minnesota has gone. It is lost. She should have been kicked out of Congress many, many years ago. She certainly should be kicked out now. I mean, they got to get an ethics committee investigation going against her. More importantly, they need to look at where she is getting her funding from. She's already been involved in at least 2 separate felony actions involving improper funding. And so if you just look at where she's getting her money from, just track the money, I think you would find that there are some illegal campaign contributions taking place with Ilhan Omar. And her former divorce attorney, Kjelberg, just recently tragically died, unfortunately. And she was kind of, she had a weight issue, okay? And apparently I think she died of a heart attack. But Kjelberg was given a bunch of money from Ilhan from her campaign as the retainer to pay for the legal fees. So Kjelberg never reported it, and instead actually potentially tried to use some of that money to pay for the retainer and the legal fees for Keith Ellison, the current attorney general in Minnesota. He used to be a congressman. So it's all corrupt. All right. Here's your girl, Nikki Haley,
Do you
going
not
on Meet the Press.
trust the jury and their findings, Ambassador?
I absolutely trust the jury, and I think that
So this is the E. Jean Carroll question for Nikki Haley, whether or not Nikki Haley believed the jury in the E. Jean Carroll case.
they made their decision based on the evidence. I just don't think that should take him off the ballot. I think the American people will take him off the ballot.
And she tries to deflect and say that the E. Jean Carroll verdict by itself should not take President Trump off the ballot. Like, that's not the question being asked. The question was, does Nikki Haley believe the verdict that was rendered in the E. Jean Carroll case? And she said yes. So the next stage in this, and I think Laura Loomer brought out a good point, is when Nikki Haley's 22-year-old son is accused of rape, and what Nikki Haley will say, because she'll immediately say, no, it's false, it's fake. And 99% chance that the allegation, when it comes through against the 22-year-old son at some point, because it will be from some crazy, unhinged woman, and it will be totally false. And there'll be plenty of evidence showing that it's false. And Nikki Haley will be like, look, this woman is crazy. Look at all this evidence. And nobody will believe it. And then Nikki Haley will be faced with the fact that she had to walk back these statements with E. Jean Carroll. And I don't know. Maybe she's just saying she believes the verdict because Reid Hoffman paid Roberta Kaplan. You know, funded the entire lawsuit and then funded Nikki Haley as well. But I mean, Nikki Haley, look, she's extremely attractive. She's like, what, 55? When she was younger, she was extremely attractive. She's still pretty attractive for her age. And she's just not very smart, though. She just reads prepared statements. That's it.
I absolutely trust the jury, and I think that they made their decision based on the evidence. I just don't think that should take.
So this is the border now, Vega, Ska. Lots of people crossing. Check it out. Yeah, I will. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Got a lot of other videos here about the border as well. So this is white privilege. This is a tweet from Alex Jones. Can't believe I'm even saying that, by the way. A tweet from Alex Jones. And apparently this kid died. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad. Pretty sad. I really hope that these individuals are prosecuted. Anne Hathaway.
Community is the way you own the alphabet. LGBTQIAAP. No letter left behind. No. For real. What I love about this community is the freedom. The freedom that comes with being yourself, all of yourself. I love the energy, the activism, the generosity, the light, the shade. The fun. I love the dignity that accompanies self-acceptance. It is important to acknowledge that, with the exception of being a cisgender male, everything about how I was born has put me at the current center of a damaging and widely accepted myth. That myth is that gayness orbits around straightness, transgender orbits around cisgender, and that all races orbit around whiteness. I appreciate this community so much because it's where I learned to reject this myth. I appreciate this community because together, we are not just going to question this myth, we are going to destroy it. The walls built in fear will crumble. They will disintegrate. The old world will shatter, and the pieces that no longer serve will melt. A new world will emerge, forged from this community, from your seismic imperative message that love is love. So let's talk.
Well, I don't know. There weren't any major whoppers in there. It was just her being, you know, playing to their message. So, all right. So we got a bunch of French Revolution stuff. We got kind of a remix of prior videos here. Some French music in the background.
Suffocant sous le soleil et sous la joie, et j'entends dans la musique les cris, les rires qui éclatent.
I'm actually very surprised that these men aren't immediately arrested, because if this were the US, they would be, especially spraying manure on government buildings.
Quand soudain je me retourne, il se recule, et la foule vient me jeter entre ses bras. On emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, écrasés l'un contre l'autre, nous ne formons qu'un seul corps. Et le flot sans effort nous pousse enchaîner l'un et l'autre et nous laisse
Well. Ww3. More tweets about Ilhan Omar's Somalia trip. Zero local media coverage, naturally. Yeah, we didn't hear about this at all over here. None. Of course. Kimmy, facts. What would you do? And here's a meme of what's his face? Dipshit. I'm forgetting his name right now. Guy who they always said that looked a little bit like me when I was younger. Leonardo DiCaprio. He said that people would always make fun of me and say that Leonardo DiCaprio I won't even say it. It's a joke on me, really. Anyways, the meme says, the text on it reads, me leaving the restaurant after giving a 0% tip because the waiter insists on telling me his pronouns. Yeah, 0% tip if they tell you their pronouns, I guess. It's not, it's not being rude if you don't call them by the pronouns. It's just the speech control, like someone telling you how to live your own life. Who cares if they want to be called whatever they want to be called, right? But the speech police and the speech language stuff, I mean, I am the subject as the speech police constantly, literally, in its most literal form. And, like if I say the wrong thing, one wrong thing, my life is over. In fact, my life is probably already over. But and I'm saying that like facetiously, like jokingly, because of, if you say I didn't mean anything negative or any wrong connotations from that. I just mean peacefully, of course, and sarcastically. But like, I've been subject to all kinds of basically like terrorism on me, or criticizing the government, or if I say the wrong word or something, suddenly, what has happened to me, no one else has experienced. It's been harsh, more harsh on me than probably anyone else. I mean, President Trump maybe at scale, but just for some random, regular dude, it's been, I've never seen anything like what they've done to me. So fuck them. Fuck them. They want to destroy your life. They don't understand that that's how the universe sort of operates under this universal physics law from God, that if they try and destroy your life, their life ultimately kind of gets destroyed in one way or another. It's just how everything works. And so that's how the speech police works when you go to a restaurant and the waiter tells you to use their pronouns, and then you give them a 0% tip. Owen Benjamin, fun fact: the only ethnic groups in America that pay more in taxes than they take in welfare are whites and Asians. Blacks in America have a tax welfare deficit of $390 billion a year. That means that every 5 years, $2 trillion are taken from whites and Asians and given to blacks. Now, this is kind of racist. I don't know if this is true. I'm not saying it is. This is just a meme that I pulled up. But there is a lot of welfare going on. And it seems to be that there are groups in society that seem to benefit from this. And largely it's probably due to the fact that they are so persecuted, to the extent that, for example, with like, if you say anything, you could get arrested. So why even work, right? Why not just live off welfare? Because, they're basically making you into someone who actually can't work, which they've constantly tried to do to me over the years. over the past 10 years, it's just been like repeated and repeated and repeated. And, you know, I'm someone who loves working. I'm a workaholic. It's really difficult for me not to work. And I know that's a strong kind of theme in my family. Here's a tweet from a Trump parody account, and it's a video again of the 2020 election. A bunch of guys dropping off ballot boxes at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And the tweet reads, "Every Republican should repost this. Tucker Carlson, quote, 'They rigged the election in front of all of us and nobody did anything about it,' unquote. 16,000 hours of surveillance video. Detroit Hellman Voting Center, 3 hours and 15 minutes after polls closed in Michigan. Mules loading thousands of Bidens into a minivan with Indiana plates." Wow. Yeah, that's how they won Michigan. They did it in Detroit. Got a lot of Bidens into that minivan. A lot of those Biden ballots. Here's a meme from Bumpy Nolan. It says, "Who is against voter ID again? There has never been a more critical time to require voter ID in all U.S. elections." In the background of the meme has these caravans and these immigrants coming in. I don't know about that, Galactic Rabbit, but anyone who makes false allegations, it does so in a manner that's intentional and deliberate, and there's plenty of evidence that they did that deliberately, and someone actually suffered harm from it. So there's several elements there. It's not just, you know, because, you know, people get crazy all the time, right? But, you know, people who suffered real harm, like me, and, you know, there's no accountability. I was thrown in solitary confinement for false allegations, and it wasn't just a one-day kind of deal. And then the Minnesota Supreme Court vacated the statute that they used, and then all this evidence came out that they withheld, showing that they, quote, were admitting to fabricating the most believable false information. And there were a number of other statements in there where they admitted to fabricating and falsifying evidence. And, you know, it was so obvious from the very beginning, and there was plenty of evidence, even without having access to that evidence, that showed that. So there was this deliberate and intentional nature about the whole scheme. And, you know, the fact that these people were never, and they, you know, it's not that I didn't try and hold them, you know, peacefully and lawfully accountable by filing criminal complaints, or bar complaints, or whatever other, you know, legal avenues I had. I did all of that, and they intentionally blocked them from being held accountable. And that's, I think, what is happening. And whether that's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or corruption, or all of these different things smashing together, I don't know. But there needs to be accountability. Absolutely. All right, more tweets. KC-135. Jay Salander's plane. Speaking of false allegations. Jay Salanders was behind funding a lot of the false allegations against me. And Jay Salanders, if you look him up, Air Force General, when he was in Iraq in 92, he was flying a KC-135 and he crashed it. And then he tried to blame other people for crashing it. And call sign for his plane, if my memory serves me correctly, because I used to have more of a photographic memory, but I still have a good memory, it's just not as good, was Wales something. It was like Wales 1 something. like WHALE, like a whale, the animal. At least 6 U.S. Air Force KC-135 aerial refueling tankers, most from March Air Reserve Base in Southern California, are heading northeast across the United States and preparing to transit the Atlantic towards the UK and Europe. I wonder what kind of aircraft they are refueling. Well, yeah, I mean, they're refueling stealth bombers that are in the air. They're refueling B-2s that are in the air. I guess their B-2s are stealth bombers, but they've got their nuclear planes in the air for whatever's going down in Europe. Let's see if there's any comments here where people, the kind that bring the pain, yeah. U.S. to station nuclear weapons in UK to counter threat from Russia. If this is happening, you know something big is about to go down. Yeah, like World War III, which we're already in, and is escalating very quickly. Yeah, it's too bad that the F-35s can't be solar charged yet. Okay, more tweets. We got to get through all this stuff. You must be talking about Ilion, Minnesota's #1 illegal out of 81,000 illegals. Biden administration actively destroying Maui. Over the 1,000 small businesses have been shut down due to Biden's small business admin constantly delaying their disaster relief loans. Interesting. 12% of people that were approved have been waiting 6 months to be paid. And for many, it's too late. This is intentional. Interesting. The Small Business Administration has utilized ridiculous excuses like, our systems are down due to a software update. Yeah. A supervisor is reviewing your application and maybe you'll hear back in a few months. You need to spend thousands of dollars on insurance first. Yeah. Okay. Another meme. This would not surprise me at all. CIA, FBI, Hamas are going to stage a terror attack in America. And then the second part of the meme says, and blame it on Trump somehow. Yeah. Okay, we've got a message from somebody on Skype. Ronan, you want to call in? See if we can grab this and put it on the other window here. More tweets. Nothing to see here. And this is a meme with Lewis Kaplan, the judge that presided over the E. Jean Carroll case, and Alina Habba, Trump's attorney. And text in the meme reads, breaking news, Alina Habba. Judge Kaplan took a $5 million bribe to convict Donald Trump. Now, I've seen this before. I don't know if this is true. I'm assuming it's not. But I've seen it. This is nonsense. With all that money we have sent to Ukraine, he would have been bribed with much more than that. Well, it would be too obvious. They would find other ways to bribe a judge. All right, well, next time, Ronan. No pressure, whenever you want. How's Australia, by the way? How's Diablo, the video game you're playing? Okay, so here is the Ilhan Omar stuff again, and this is about this is an article. Let's see, the New York Post. Oh, this is an old article. FBI dodged Ilhan Omar bro-wed probe. Miranda Devine. The FBI employed the use of statute of limitations to get out of a huge media shitstorm by attempting to investigate and or prosecute Ilhan Omar for engaging in immigration fraud by marrying her own brother. It's pretty outrageous. They slow walked it. Yep, good point. Good point. Yeah, they'll deport Nazi war criminals who got discovered 50 years after they came into the country, but they won't do anything about Ilhan Omar. Gardening and cleaning. Cleaning is always good. I do basic cleaning like once a week. Ronan just asked me a question here. This is a tweet from Wall Street Apes. It reads, "This man has found a way to charge batteries and draw energy from frequencies." Goes into a full article style tweet. So let's just play the video.
This one is not even affected with clouds, light, and things like that. It just works.
So the energy, the radio frequencies that you're harnessing, are they there in space, in the field all the time?
Yes, they are. From the first day we started testing the machine, we have been analyzing and we saw that the radio frequency is there. But one thing that we want to know for sure is it alien? Or is it man-made from another planet, or is it from God? That's where we need, I think, scientific people to define exactly. But we know the radio frequency, we have everything.
If it's
so this is a device apparently he created.
The test is successful.
It's not
to charge a battery based on
that's perfect.
Cell phone or other frequencies in the air.
So that's the 18 batteries.
Yeah, that's the 18 batteries.
So that's higher than the nominal voltage.
Dude! Wow. That is awesome.
Very interesting.
So it has higher voltage.
Thank you.
Give us 2 thumbs up.
Thank you so much.
One final check of the battery voltage revealed a shocking result. Not only had the machine outlasted the expected battery life, but the batteries were still fully charged. This proved that the device was being powered from an unknown energy source.
This is one of the happiest days of my life.
What do you mean,
I'm
unknown?
So proud of this.
There's cell phone signals, 4G, 5G, depending on
of the divine coming through him.
Tower infrastructure.
He's done whatever it takes to bring this through for humanity. So congratulations, my friend.
The last 8 years traveling the globe in search of insight, picked up the conversation that 6 hours at a time, it was driving Genius crazy. And he was saying, "Why are you praying so much? Shut up." Finally, they ended up talking.
Another tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene, terrorist sympathizer Ilhan Omar, in her own words, "Somalian first, Muslim second." She never mentions America. She flaunts using her position as congresswoman to protect Somalia's border while our border is invaded by millions of illegals who are a danger to America. These people hate America, and they're so emboldened by the Democrats' disdain for a country, They're not even trying to hide it anymore. Get out and vote in 2024. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring every like-minded patriot you know to the polls. We, the people, have a country to save. I mean, it's so blatant. Everyone knows this about Ilhan Omar, but the fact that she would say this in Somalia shows you, in the place that this country is at right now, with the whole country falling apart and no one actually standing up for this country, and all of them wanting handouts or money for whatever their interests are. In this case, Ilhan Omar, she wants money for Somalia, and she wants to maintain the interests of Somalia in Congress. She doesn't want to do anything for the interests of local citizens in this part of the country. She doesn't want to do anything for the families that founded Minnesota, that founded the cities themselves, built the institutions there, built the buildings there. She doesn't want to do anything for deporting illegals out of Minnesota. She doesn't want to do anything for, funding local startups for, non-immigrant families, literally.
Okay, people, we need to talk about 2023 filing taxes. To those who are early birds in regards to filing for their taxes this year, are you guys seeing anything weird in regards to the
You probably
federal
will
side
be,
of things?
Ronan.
I have done my own taxes my
You
whole
seem very
life
smart too.
because I don't have a lot of complications. I just literally put in my W-2, boom, I never owe taxes, I get a refund on both sides, and I move about my day. But for some reason, for 2023, something has changed. Something, and I haven't changed anything. My W-4 is always claiming 0, so that way I know they're taking out enough taxes. But for some reason this year, I owe a chunk of money to the feds. Why? But this is not the only person that I'm seeing happening to. I did my little sister's taxes for her last night, and she makes like an average American salary, so there's nothing crazy going on with her. She's not making a ton of money. But for some reason, she owes to the feds. I did my fiance's taxes as well, and he owes for the feds this year. And from what I'm hearing, he has seen a few people on Facebook already complain and question what is going on with the Fed side. Either they're not getting a very huge refund, like, I don't know, less than $100 from the feds, or they're owing now to the feds, and they've never had to owe anything. I've Googled it, seeing if there's some sort of issue. My fiance's telling me to hold off on filing because he's seeing a trend on his Facebook of people questioning this.
Oh wow, so these are early
I can't find
filers.
anything on the internet saying that there's some sort of issue or glitch in regards to the Fed side of things. I know some of you guys may come into my comments and say, well, pay your taxes. I plan on doing so if it is accurate. But I just wanted to reach out to you guys and see, is anybody else seeing a weird trend in regards to the Fed side of things? On the state side of things, I'm getting a refund, which is normal. It's just gonna go towards the Fed payment, but I just want to know, what are you guys seeing when you're filing your taxes for the 2023 year? I'd rather know before I file and make sure that we're all not getting screwed here in this country, which we already are.
Yeah, more than ever before. Okay, we've got to get through the rest of these. We only got a few more. Senile president, he signs whatever the communists put in front of him. Text on the meme says, what kind of president sends $170 billion to help secure Ukraine's border while opening our border up for an invasion? Welcome to Biden America. People are struggling. I mean, I was just talking about the price of heat and electricity, and it went up by 40 or 50% in 2 years. Previously, for just a small house, people were probably paying in the range of $150 to $200 per month. And now per month they're paying in the range of $350 to $400. My bill similarly has also looked the same. $170 billion. I don't even think that's accurate at this point. I think it's more like 200 or 220 billion for Ukraine. And then you have a bunch of fraud and misappropriation of money in Ukraine, where these criminals are stealing $40 million that are meant otherwise for purchases of arms and weapons and so on and so forth. Which, again, I don't agree with purchasing weapons or anything like that, but still stealing $40 million from American taxpayers, which isn't materialized yet, which is actually more like $50 or $60 million because there's interest on that debt. Breaking. The House is expected to vote to impeach Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Do you support this? So Mayorkas is a Greek Jew, went to Yale Law School, and he's, yeah, I mean, they should have impeached him in 2021. He's going to get impeached on Tuesday. Well, so what does that mean? I don't know. I think the House will impeach him, and then it will go to the Senate. There'll be a trial in the Senate, I think. Maybe the Senate can just vote on it. Not sure. There might be different rules if it's not the president. And if he gets impeached in the Senate, I think they have to remove him. Okay, another tweet. Breaking. Your government confirms your corrupt government isn't corrupt to the core. Mail-in ballots sent out 1.8 million. Final count 2.5 million and change. What happened to about 766,000 mail-in ballots that appeared from nowhere? The 2.5 million number is no longer on the Secretary of State's website 22 days after the election. I don't know if this is applicable to just to one state like Georgia or what. Numbers are not matching up. All right, another tweet here. Breaking. This is very important, by the way. Evergrande. Trading suspended in China. The main, the massive real estate company in China. Evergrande. Grand or Grand? Who really cares? Fuck yeah, breaking news. Hong Kong court orders liquidation of Evergrande. It has arrived. We owe Joseph McCarthy an apology. America was and is infiltrated by communists. He was right all along. Yep. Talked about McCarthy and Roy Cohn being attached to McCarthy. Former Wisconsin congressman. Blacklisted a bunch of communists. McCarthy era. Tweet meme from Myron White saying you can say whatever you want, and then there's a bunch of soldiers wearing a Trump, not wearing, but holding a Trump flag. But there is no such photo with Biden or Obama. That's true, there isn't. Crime Watch Minneapolis. And then someone responded to it with horrible prayers. First, the triple homicide, Coon Rapids, and then now, Anoka County Sheriff refused to name the arrestee suspect, and now this. Really on a bad roll. Butcher of Wall Street account. Just in Hong Kong, court orders liquidation of Evergrande. All Evergrande stocks suspended. Boom. China is fucked. They're going to call in their debt payments to the US, and then we're going to have a contagion where the economies around the world are going to suddenly go into depression. China's second largest real estate developer, Evergrande, faces dissolution and bankruptcy court tomorrow, December 4th. This is an old tweet. Global banks hold nearly $1 trillion in bonds and loans of Evergrande real estate company and their failed electric vehicles. Interesting. Jack Straw, Belgium. The border with France is currently blocked from both sides. Mons, Belgium. A farmers' protest is ongoing right now. Turnout in the Flemish region where farmers gather tonight. Video here. It's about a 21-second video. Right from the very beginning. All right. Another one bites the dust. Chinese real estate developer Jingru fails to repay a $165 million bond today. They previously failed to pay bonds in 2022, and their insolvency has become even more apparent in the face of elevated interest rates. Tweet from Grant Cardone: property market in China is falling apart. What does this mean for the US? Well, I think there's going to be a major crisis because with remote work, these downtowns are no longer vibrant, and landlords are getting antsy because they can't find tenants, and there's going to be mortgages that are defaulted on because of it. Zelensky warns of World War III if West doesn't help more. In his ongoing goal to increase military funding to Ukraine, which never ends, Zelensky warned the war could spread to a NATO country, causing the beginning of the Third World War. Speaking to German media, quote, "It seems to me that Chancellor Scholz is aware of the risk," unquote. Germany recently refused to send Ukraine any of its Taurus cruise missiles. Interesting. Well, Germany knows that there's going to be retaliation from Russia if it sends special armaments to Ukraine in order to thwart Russia, especially considering that some of these cruise missiles are being used to sink naval vessels tied to Russia. And that is what creates the massive retaliation from Russia, because when one of these ships goes down and, 50 Russian sailors are injured or killed, they'll send 50 missiles directly into Ukraine and take out. It's just surprising at this point that they haven't just sent one missile into the palace in Kiev to take out Zelensky. This is the heavily retweeted tweet by Tucker Carlson saying "fucking lunatics," and then it's a meme. Well, it's not really a meme, it's just a screenshot or whatever of Lindsey Graham saying "hit Iran now, hit them hard," and then Senator John Cornyn saying "target Tehran." Yeah, they want World War III to heat up. And then Mario Newfall, interesting tweet here, says China deploys warships around Taiwan According to Yomiuri Shimbun, China has permanently stationed 4 warships around Taiwan. This move is seen as a strategy to exert pressure on Taipei in peacetime and to potentially deter U.S. naval presence in the event of regional conflicts. I think they've kind of had this ongoing for a while. They just kind of increase the intensity every so often. I think I had some other ones in here. Hold on. Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, it's crucial to understand that UBS, HSBC banks, and BlackRock are the primary purchasers of Evergrande's debt. This situation is alarming because a seemingly small issue could trigger a much larger and devastating financial crisis akin to a small snowball, causing a massive avalanche. Yes, contagion. Dom Lucre, I've been watching all the backlash for me going to New York. I've been letting it happen just so I can shut everyone up next week. Please count me out because it always makes the story more exciting. 40-second video here. Dom Lucre.
You guys have to leave. This is private. It's private property. You have to go. Yeah, that way. That way. That's the exit. Please stop filming right now. Again, stop filming right now. Stop filming. Do you understand?
They kicked him out. They kicked your boy out of the temple, out of the synagogue.
You guys have to leave. This is private. It's private property. You have to go. Yeah, that way. That way. That's the exit. Please stop filming right now. Again, stop filming right now.
He's just trying to find the tunnels. Okay, so they figured out who created this sled, the 3rd Precinct one. And they're making a bigger deal out of it than it really needs to be, but that's beside the point. The loathsome pair who claim to be the creators of this vile art are Madison Van Ort in the pig costume and Andy Koch. And they have the Twitter accounts attached. Andy Koch is on the right, and then the one on the left is this crazy woman with the pig costume, Madison Van Ort. Oh, they went to meet the Pope, apparently. It's not even a... I mean... Here. No, wait, I want to... Okay, so here they're meeting the... No, that's a cutout of the Pope, I think. Yeah. It's just a cutout at like a fair event. Iowa. Pope wouldn't be in Iowa anyways. Okay, so whatever, who cares? That's it. That's all I got. Wanted to Chinese stock market is crashing. They can't afford to keep buying their own stocks. We all knew it was coming. Well, you know, they're going to start asking for their bonds to be paid, and they're going to start selling their debt in the US, and that's going to cause markets to crash here as well as in Europe. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen in 2024, that there was going to be a massive downscaling of the economy. It's just a matter of when. And this is the crisis I think that they would potentially use to try and bring in something like a CBDC, permanently making it somewhat mandatory to use. And, you know, this is why it's so important to have diversity with respect to your assets, you know, not necessarily being totally tied into banks, because once these banks go under, which they're going to, a lot of them are, because then the banks can then steal your money, and there's already regulations in place in the US to allow them to give you a haircut on your bank account. So if you know, they did this in Lebanon last year. If you want to go get money out of the bank, they'll give you the full amount with a 30% haircut, and it continued to get worse and worse and worse until people started to rob their own bank to get their own money that they originally deposited into that bank account. Or they'll only allow you to take out a certain portion because they don't want to deal with bank runs. And so I think people are in for a lot of economic pain. And I think if anything, they'll try and maybe roll the crisis into potentially not even having elections if they could. I mean, if they could get away with it, they certainly would. Oh, wow. So Rachel Maddow, I hate this Bing News thing, but this is kind of interesting. Rachel Maddow lands first post-trial interview with E. Jean Carroll on MSNBC. Of course, E. Jean would go on with Rick Maddow. I don't even think that a lot of Trump haters on the left believe E. Jean. They just say it out of faith in sort of the legal process that they still have, like just a tiny bit, because they know that Trump is being targeted. They say, oh yeah, the jury said it, but they don't believe E. Jean. No one believes E. Jean. Okay, $83 million. She's never going to see a cent. Carol will be going on with Roberta Kaplan and Sean Crowley. When is the interview going to take place? That's what I want to find out. I'm reading through this article to try and figure that out. Roberta Kaplan was asked by Anderson Cooper today whether a third lawsuit is on the table if Trump continues to defame E. Jean. Kaplan replied, "I'm too good of an attorney to answer that. I will tell you everything is on the table." Wow. $83 million for saying that you didn't rape this woman, and then saying that she's a whack job. 65 million of that is in punitive damages. Again, on appeal, I think the only thing you can do is knock down the 65 million award for the punitive damages. Otherwise, you're kind of fucked. They have punctured a hole in the legal system so large by targeting President Trump. Lewis Kaplan being a cunt to Alina Habba, and treating her worse than Kayleigh McEnany was ever treated by White House reporters. And now trying to potentially I saw an article in Newsweek by that terrible former U.S. attorney from Alabama, Vance, who claimed that Lewis Kaplan was potentially trying to discipline or make a referral to the Attorney Grievance Committee in New York to discipline Alina Habba for allegations surrounding violating Kaplan's court orders, Judge Kaplan's court orders. And it's going to get directly sent probably to Jorge DePico, who's the managing attorney of the office, or one of his henchmen like Kevin Doyle. And so I would highly recommend that anybody watching this start to research and put out websites and articles, other content, tweets, whatever you want, videos, and look up Kevin Doyle from the Attorney Grievance Committee in New York and look at his previous history of going after anybody associated with President Trump, including Rudy Giuliani, and criticize Kevin Doyle as much as you possibly can. Criticizing Jorge DePico as much as you possibly can. And making it as difficult as possible to go ahead with their sham disciplinary proceeding, potentially. I mean, this is all hypothetical at this point, because I think Kevin Doyle has already got his teeth into Alina Habba with some private admonishment of some sort. And maybe they've learned a little bit and backed off, because they don't necessarily have to actually go ahead and trigger a formal disciplinary proceeding if a judge makes a referral to the office. It's just a referral. That's all it is. It's a federal judge. Lewis Kaplan could also make a referral to the Federal Professional Responsibility Office, but it would have less of an impact on Alina Habba specifically, because she's not a federal prosecutor, and the way that attorneys are licensed is they're licensed through states. So the states' interests are more at play than just a federal licensing process, because it's just not the way it works. Although they could potentially use it to add pressure to these state bars, and they could use it maybe, I don't know, collaterally in some other proceeding. I don't know. I would also criticize again your boy Nick Vivian and Jeff Willems, who sent me a cease and desist email last week. I'm going to pull up their pictures again. This is Jeff Willems. He has repeatedly tried to terrorize my family and me. He's inflicted torture on me previously, and he has now engaged in a felony RICO scheme with officials in New York. Speaking of, he needs to be prosecuted. He needs to be in federal prison. And Nick Vivian, the city attorney in Hudson, Imran Ali is one of his partners at this firm, Eckberg Lammers, but he is technically the city attorney in Hudson here. He sent me the cease and desist email a couple days ago, on Wednesday, I think, or something. I can't remember. I think it was Wednesday. And he needs to be prosecuted for the same RICO scheme, as well as he needs to be shamed. So put up websites about Jeff Willems, criticize those two. If anything happens to me and I'm not streaming, it is because of these two. Criticize Nick Vivian, tweet about him. And this is actually really shameful. For someone who is a quasi-government bureaucrat working out of a private law firm, acting as an official city attorney, who is trying to harass and target residents, and his underlying intention and motives and stuff is all corrupt. And it's all fucked up. He's really just an evil piece of shit, along with Jeff Willems. So I just want to add that here, in the event that these two try to do anything illegal, because they've already done when I say try to do anything, they're already engaged in a felony RICO operation with New York officials. But if they continue to try and do other collaterally illegal things here with respect to, you know, trying to come up with secondary things here like the cease and desist email and whatever else, they've got stuff cooked up, all right? He won't give me any records. He's blocking me from any FOIA responses. It's illegal under state law to do that. They charged me with 131 felonies in October and then dismissed them within hours. They were completely fake charges. And this was the RICO scheme with officials in New York to try and suppress my criticism of Allison Greenfield. They will do anything to go after President Trump and anybody who supports criticizing the corruption as it relates to some of these ridiculous sham trials that are being imposed on President Trump. So, you know, it's amazing to me that they haven't already been investigated and prosecuted. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, certainly follow the account. If anybody out there watching right now wants to join the Twitter Spaces, the X Spaces, call in over Skype. I can get you on quickly if you want to talk about something or if you have any questions. The other thing here is we had the live stream from maybe we need to close some tabs here. Hold on. Shoot. Oh, the whole thing fell down. Crash. Hold on, let me find it. It's on this other window here. Oh, here it is. Just found it now. This is live as the French farmers blockade routes into Paris with trucks and tractors. Police are all over the place. So I think this is going to be massive if this continues. All these farmers protesting taxes in France and in and around Paris. These highways cut off. 15,000 French police and paramilitary deployed. So I'm assuming then that the police are then arresting all these farmers who are bringing these tractors here to block traffic. How come this isn't front page news, by the way? How come you're only seeing this in the alternative media? That's my main question. Looks like they're just driving right past the police. The police aren't doing anything to stop them from going on the highway here. I don't know if those are police actually driving the tractors and driving them away, or if these are farmers that are just driving right by the local police there. And then they're stationing their vehicles on the highway to form the part of the blockade. I mean, I guess they kind of look like farmers doing this, and then there's cops kind of just making sure that no one is seriously injured. Maybe there's, okay, so there's reporters here. So the cops probably just are trying to ensure that the reporters aren't getting injured by the tractors. I mean, they could really do a number on these roads too. They could tear the roads up. They could spray manure on them. Yeah, it kind of looks like they're just getting started, at least in this stretch of road. I don't know what that flag symbolizes. But people are having a lot of fun, you can tell. And they're blocking traffic in both directions, or at least blocking a couple of these lanes. Now, I'm wondering if they're trying to open at least some part of the road for emergency vehicles. So like paramedics or whatever, in case a paramedic needs to get through there if a local resident has a medical issue, and you know, you don't want to block that from getting through. Yep, more tractors are rolling on the road here. This is a Crux live stream. They have a tendency to delete these live streams, by the way, so if there's interesting content on here, it's best to immediately download the video after the live stream ends. They have a habit of privating the live stream within seconds or minutes after the stream ends. So you got to download it very, very quickly. Or just take screenshots or screen record as the live stream is ongoing. These highways are kind of small. 2, maybe 3 lanes. those would be pretty small for US standards. And the fencing on the road there, on the side of it, is it's kind of similar to the US, I guess. $15,000 French police. It doesn't seem like enough assets to stop a wide-scale protest of this sort. 15,000 is a drop in a bucket, right? Especially if the blockades are kind of like all around Paris. So you kind of have to have more forces in each of those pockets. Pretty boring. I wish that they would have more angles here. I'm just going to do a quick search here. For a live stream. So we got that one. CNN News 18. Where these tractors are actually driving into Paris. This looks like the same one. Maybe it's different. Calling it the Farmers Protest 2024. You notice how it's all coordinated too? Like we had the trucker convoy in the US and then we have this one in France. Interesting. All right, well. Guess we'll leave it at that, but things are gearing up. Things are gearing up. Oh wow, there's like tons of these road stretches that subject to this blockade. We got this one. I mean, they're diverting traffic all over the place. I mean, this is incredible here. They're really fucking with these people. I guess you'd kind of get really pissed though if you were trying to drive somewhere or go to work or you know, just get somewhere really quickly and then you had to get diverted and there's a long line of trucks in front of you because some farmers wanted to protest. But I think at this point a lot of people are kind of like sympathetic, especially in France, because there's so many people who protest in France and it's a very radicalized country with that in mind, in that respect, that maybe there's just more sympathy for these farmers and the fact that the government is just an agent of tyranny to hold people back. I'm surprised that there aren't any military or law enforcement here that are actively trying to clear these tractors from the road. You can see a few here, and they're kind of just acting as traffic cops, diverting the long line of trucks and cars into the off-ramp. And this is from Reuters. Okay, that's not the right one. You know, I think this is one of the first times that I've seen someone like CNN kind of show this on a live stream, CNN News 18, where they've kind of tried to hide some of these native soil protests. So this is the same one. This is from the Independent. I want to kind of see what people are saying about this. Okay, so we got some Russian comments, we got some French comments. Can not understand any of those. They should block Davos. Yes, they should. Support from Slovakia. Liberal fascism. Strasbourg next. A monster of the FF kind. Africa does not ever have to beg from Emmanuel Macron. Not ever. French farmer using an American John Deere. Ah, good point. These are all American tractors, it's true. Built actually kind of in plants around this area. And designed and engineered from offices around here. A lot of agriculture in this part of the world. Alright, so you guys are probably bored out of your mind. I probably have no one watching now. Okay. So they're leveling up here at different levels with the layering of the tractors to make it even more difficult for them to get the tractors off the road. It's going to take probably days. To get rid of this blockade. I mean, there's a lot of farmers in France, geez. Most of the comments here are pretty supportive as well. Just in this live chat. Let's look at Reuters. Let's see if it has live chat. Sometimes I turn them off. Yeah, this one's disabled. They don't want the word getting out that people are supportive of these farmers. Macron is dumbass. Is what this sign reads. Will Macron respond? It's a real crisis. It could oust him out of office as well. All right, I gotta get on with my day, but I wanted to see this and play it on stream. I'll see you guys later, probably later tonight. Peace. Bye.
Thanks for watching Command HQ with Brooke and Agent X.